What up, y'all? We are talking all things Hard to Kill on WWT Live coming up next.
Yeah. Now I'm going to go off. This is Shayna, the Queen of Spades, Baszler, and you're watching Women's Wrestling Talk.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
What's up, y'all? What up, Dylan? You was just waiting for us. Happy Friday. Welcome to WWT Live, Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. My name is TK Trinidad. We got a lot to cover. It's going to be a very, very busy weekend for everybody, but we are not alone. Let's see. It's been I mean, we just started this year on Wednesday, so he hasn't been gone for too long, but he's back in the building with us. What up, Booney?
What's up?
How are you doing?
I'm good. Can't complain. Like, had a nice holiday vacation, and I'm looking forward to this Martin Luther King Day weekend. So, you know, it's been nice. It's been nice kind of regrouping, recharging, starting this year off on a positive note. Looking forward to what's coming along this year.
Yeah, I didn't get that, so I'm hoping to get that. Whatever happened Christmas wise as far as regrouping, recharging, I'm hoping to get that eventually soon. But
yeah, you got to get that. Make sure to try to take that.
one day. But we're also not alone.
Go forward.
The professor's in the building.
Hey, happy Friday. Hey, TK, you got to take that rest. Like, it's not going to just show up. You got to take it.
Take it, snatch it.
Take that. Like, you got to do that.
It's so funny. And I hope this never happens, but with that video that just played, I could just envision somebody coming and trying to test Professor because they think, he about Jesus and all things. And then, I don't know, it might be one swift one to the neck, just chopped to the neck. And then he's like, says a little prayer and just says, go forward, and just like turns and walks away. Like that just visual is just, again, don't want that. Y'all don't be tested. But those people that you're not sure, you test them and then you find out, you F around and find out, like the professor seems like, those people.
Hey, Jesus was flipping tables.
He did.
He was all just completely calm. He was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Dylan's right. We're in the go forward era. But yeah, we have a very, very busy weekend, and shout out to Bosa. Yeah, it's a busy weekend for a lot of content creators. A lot of great stuff that's going to be happening. You want to break it down for us, Teflon G?
Absolutely. Here's what's so interesting. And I mean, it literally feels like 2024 has picked up where 2023 is left off in the wrestling world in terms of super busy days, multiple shows happening on the same day from multiple promotions. And we literally have that happening tomorrow, where there are not one, not two, but 3 different shows literally happening at the same time. And here's the kicker. None of them are from WWE. That should tell you an awful lot. So we have our normal Saturday show, which is AEW Collision they're in Norfolk, Virginia. And in addition to Collision, on the 3rd hour, they will have the Battle for the Belts, which will feature a tag title match where Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho will be fighting for the AEW World Tag Team titles. So that's a full 3 hours of live AEW programming happening on Saturday, starting at 8 o'clock. Similarly, we'll have New Japan on the heels of Wrestle Kingdom last week, their first American show of the year, which is Battle in the Valley. That has some historic significance. Of course, that was the first in-ring debut in terms of match action for Mercedes Moné last year with New Japan.
Wow,
that will
crazy.
be happening. Yeah, which is crazy. Now, last year it happened in February. This year it's happening, of course, tomorrow night. We'll talk about that card, but kind of what everybody is talking about right now is Hard to Kill from TNA. That will be happening in Las Vegas at the Palms, which, as we alluded to Wednesday, there's a whole lot of stepping up and next level for TNA. It is their first show under the new rebrand of TNA. Of course, spending about 6 or 7 years as Impact Wrestling. And before we get to this pay-per-view, they have unveiled brand new championship belts for virtually all of their champions. And I say virtually because the only championship belt we have yet to see is the Knockouts tag team title belt, which we will get to see tomorrow night. But every other championship belt has been revealed, the new versions of them. They have literally taken a day each week, or a day of the week, all week long, to reveal them on the socials. And I have to say, all of those new belts look amazing. They look absolutely amazing. Shout out to the designer whose name I don't remember right now, but they did incredible work redesigning these belts. And so it's going to be incredible. All of the new championships will be available tomorrow in terms of some great matches. And so we can run through some of the matches that are scheduled for tomorrow. And I'll leave one specific point for later, which is what most of you guys probably want to talk about. And so
I do have, before you go into that, I do have one question. And this is probably going to go into the tangent that we had on Wednesday. Okay. So obviously we have Battle in the Valley coming up. Yes. According to the dirt sheets and all the things. And of course, we definitely like to put some stuff in the boxes, but given everything that's happening that's non-WWE related this weekend, do you think that New Japan, they pretty much just, once Mercedes got injured, they just kind of dropped the ball as far as women's wrestling?
Correct.
Do you think that now she is off the injured list, they're going to recoup what they were supposed to do prior to her getting injured? Like, I would think that's the ultimate surprise if she doesn't go the WWE route. Because according to the dirt sheets, the AEW stuff is kind of, they hit a stall with that. And like, if this has been in the talks all along, making it seem like nothing's happening, like, would you guys want to see that?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because on the show Wednesday, we talked about New Japan's commitment, or seemingly lack of commitment, to women's wrestling, as their IWGP Women's Championship was not featured this year on Wrestle Kingdom when it was prominently featured last year, of course, coinciding with the debut of Mercedes Moné. So they went with 0 matches on Wrestle Kingdom, but for this Battle in the Valley card, there are actually 2 women's matches, which is rather significant. One of them is Viva Van against Stephanie Vakir, which Stephanie was involved in the tournament last year for the New Japan Strong Openweight Women's Championship, the title that many thought Mercedes was supposed to win. She got injured, and Willow Nightingale ended up winning that one. The second match for the women is for that same Strong Women's Championship, as Julia will defend against Trish Adora, which I'm super excited for that match for a lot of reasons. For those who don't know, Trish Adora is part of the New Japan Dojo, which is a very, very big deal. Not just that, but she's also part of the infantry in Ring of Honor. So this would get very, very interesting. And with all of the rumors, and there have been rumors about a lot of women right now in the sport. And one of the rumors is about the current New Japan Strong Openweight Women's Champion, Julia. Many are saying that she may be headed to WWE. If she loses this match, that might further that particular rumor. Who knows? But 2 matches. And so, to go to your point, that was kind of a long way to get to the point, which is, it seems as though there may be a commitment to women's wrestling, maybe more so in the States than in Japan, as there are 2 matches on this card. So with that said, it could be the ultimate swerve that maybe Julia wins And then comes out Mercedes, you know, since this seemed to be the event
challenge.
that to challenge, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So all kinds of things I think are possible for this weekend relative to New Japan, Mercedes perhaps, but definitely for women's wrestling in New Japan. This is one of the strongest weekends we've seen in a very, very long time with this Battle in the Valley card.
Yeah, and definitely shout out to Viva Band. She's been on the show quite a few times, and I mean, we've had her like it's. I personally love when we interview. It's great to interview the people on the bigger brands, but I
Yes.
also love interviewing folks from the indies and just seeing them grow, because like where Viva Band is now. Oh
Mhm.
my gosh, like it was destined. She's a hard worker, but just
Yeah.
seeing that hard work pay off, like definitely kudos to her for that. And you know, she stays working.
Yeah.
So definitely it's gonna be a great showing.
And that's a great segue to, and I'll do this and then come right back to it. It's a great segue to news we got about a signing in AEW that was kind of quiet, but is a really big deal, and that is Queen Aminata is signed to AEW. We don't have the exact terms. I can tell you that I did speak to her, and she did indeed confirm that she signed. I did not ask the terms and things of that nature. But she's an incredible signing. I had my first chance to work with her back in 2022 as part of Battle Slam, and she is currently the inaugural All Caribbean Wrestling Women's Champion as well. She is an amazing talent, absolutely amazing talent. One of the coolest matches I got to call for her was her battling Tasha Steelz while Tasha Steelz was still the Impact Knockouts champion. They had a really dope match. It ended up going the full time limit draw. It was amazing. She is incredible. Now, she spent most of 2023, ironically, similar to Mercedes, out on injury. And so many thought that we would see her in one of these major promotions in 2023. But that particular moment didn't work because of the injury, but she worked her way back. She had several great matches this year already. Her first match back on AEW television was against Sky Blue on an episode of Rampage. Then she ended up being the opponent for Mariah May last week on Dynamite, which was her Dynamite debut. She also debuted on Ring of Honor, had a great four-way match on Ring of Honor this week. And tonight she's going to be on Rampage as well. So like she is locked in and it is incredible. Talk about another amazing, talented female wrestler. Queen Aminata is that one. And even with injury, she still made it in the PWI 250 this year as well. So she's very, very special. And getting to watch her trajectory and be a small part of that is really awesome. So I'm excited for her. She's going to do big things, I think, whether it be Ring of Honor. Oh my God, I just had a thought. Her, good Lord, her and Athena at some point would be
Oh
an
my gosh.
insane match. I don't even know if y'all understand how hard hitting that match would be. And shoot, she could be the one. Like she could be the one to take that title from her. So all sorts of possibilities, but congratulations to Queen Aminata, who is now signed to AEW.
Yeah, and Big Nick, that's essentially said you were right on time with what the professor was saying. I think that congratulations, indeed. The question is, why was it so quiet? Because she's been off the injury list a little bit, like coming towards the end of the year. So we saw her pop up, and you know, obviously, I know you know her, but just kind of seeing you kind of read the tea leaves in the social media. So it's just kind of like, why wasn't it like a big deal? Like Diana, for instance, and the big deal is the graphic and just an official announcement, unless I missed it. But.
No, you didn't miss it. You'll also note that AEW, when it comes to signing, and I want to say this carefully, when it comes to signing like independent talent, sometimes they will be signed and they may not get a graphic, or they may get a graphic. Think about how long it took for Willow to get a graphic, right? It took her a long time. The Renegades never got a graphic. You know, but because if you guys remember, I think it was either sometime last year or maybe even 2022, where the Renegades had won the NWA women's tag titles. and then like lost them abruptly because they headed over to AEW and they got signed, but nobody ever announced it. So I think when it comes to the independent talents, for whatever reason, AEW doesn't sign them. I don't know if they don't think that there will be enough social static about
Buzz.
that. You know what I mean? As opposed to a Deonna Purrazzo and Adam Copeland, those kinds of things. So it's interesting. Like for instance, when Carly Bravo got signed, like he was massive on the independent scene. You know, I had the opportunity to literally call his very first match at the Nightmare Factory. So we've been a big fan of his, but he never got a graphic. Though they came to Southern Honor to announce that he was All Elite, but he never got a graphic. So I think it just depends on the independent wrestlers and whether or not they think that it will get enough buzz, hence the flyer or not. So it's not just, I know we give them a hard time about how they treat their women's wrestlers, but I think it's more the independent wrestler, both male and female.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Booty, you have any thoughts on Queen Aminata?
Do I have any thoughts?
Yeah.
At this moment, if you want me to be 100% honest, which I always am, I'm behind on a lot of things. So I'm excited to find out more about Queen Aminata, but I have no idea. I have not been able to catch up on AEW for a while. So I've also been distracted by little Professor peeking in through the back over and over and over. So
tell me you're a superstar without telling me you're a superstar, little Professor.
That part right there.
Right. Yes. And thank you, MDB. I appreciate that. That Christmas gift from the wifey. So yeah. Nuggets represent.
All right. Well, shout out to the wifey. Well, yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to seeing more from Queen Aminata. She's been on my like watch list. She's been on the watch list for a couple of years now. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, I did a couple shows, I think 2 or 3 days ago, and it's primarily talking about women's wrestling. And like I said, there's always room for improvement, but we're in such a great place because all the names you named are not people just in WWE. Actually, I don't even think anybody you named was in WWE, which is
correct.
And I mean, we can talk about everybody else who's on WWE. So with that being said, let's head over to Hard to Kill. Let's talk about it. This is going to be so let us know in the chat as far as your predictions as well, what match you're looking forward to, all that good stuff. But yeah, what do we got going?
So Hard to Kill, of course, is happening tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern from the Palms in Las Vegas. And this is really a big card. It's the coming out party for the rebranded TNA. And they've put together a card that is absolutely massive. 2 former world champions will be battling in the countdown to Hard to Kill. That's Rich Swann against Steve Macklin. That should be amazing. Also in the countdown, you've got Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers taking on the TNA originals, Eric Young and Frankie Kazarian. Also, strangely enough, this is in the countdown, which is wild. The Digital Media Championship up for grabs. Tommy Dreamer and Crazy Steve. Crazy Steve has done some literal crazy things to Tommy Dreamer, including stabbing him with a fork. It has been pretty crazy to see what he's done there.
Stabbing him where?
Stabbed him in the back.
Jeez.
Stabbed them in the back. Yeah, it was nuts. So that's going to be intriguing for sure. And then when we get to the main card, a lot of incredible matches. A fatal 4-way tag match for the TNA World Tag Titles. ABC will be defending against the Rascals, Mike Bailey, and the debuting Trent Seven, along with the debuting Grizzled Young Veterans. And so that is probably a cool way to tell you that this new TNA has a lot of elements of the old NXT UK, because the Grizzled Young Vets, Trent Seven, all involved in NXT UK. That theme will come up again a little bit later in this in this preview. And yes, he really did stab him in the back with a fork. It was on their television show. Like that
Yes,
was
and
not.
Dylan, for the folks who are listening, Dylan says, "Stabbing with a fork. Are you forking serious?" And Dylan,
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a classic dad joke right there. Get it?
He earned that one.
He
He
definitely
earned that one.
And before we go into the rest of the matches, I guess he came in from the streets with a new mic and everything.
Come on,
said he
new
sends
mic.
Look at that
in the
microphone.
building.
Wait.
Now
We gotta
it's
get
muted.
that microphone working.
Yeah, microphone check 1 2. What is this?
Let me unmute. This isn't.
Oh,
There we go.
There we go.
No,
We've had this in stock. We just pull it out for the right occasion.
Oh, okay. Sounds like an
Okay,
OnlyFans situation,
represent.
but okay.
right occasion.
Wait,
all right.
what?
All right.
She tried to
Right.
slide that in there like I wasn't going to rebut that. That's crazy.
Just saying. All right, we're in the middle of talking Hard to Kill. Said the professor was running down the card. You may continue, Professor.
All right. So we talked about, of course, this looking a bit like NXT UK joining. Also, some of the best of the previous independents are showing up as well. So another debut, and this literally could steal the show. Former world champion Josh Alexander taking on the debuting Alex Hammerstone, former MLW world champion. Hammerstone is built like somebody who belongs in WWE. Him being with Josh Alexander in this Hard to Kill match is going to be insane. And speaking of insane, for only the second time ever, there will be a Knockout Ultimate X match. And if you've never seen an Ultimate X match, it's really one of those signature TNA matches. It's a TNA original kind of match where, you know, to win, you don't literally get a ladder to get the X. You have to climb and, you know, come across these ropes and grab it from the top. And it's amazing. Tasha Steeles, who won the original Knockouts match, is back in this one, along with Alicia Edwards, Giselle Shaw, Jody Threat, who was recently interviewed here on WWT. And again, I talked about NXT UK to NXT UK alumnus, Xia Brookside and Danny Luna. They will all be a part of this. So this will be great. PCO, who many probably don't even realize, used to be part of the Quebecers back in the old WWE days. He will be taking on Dirty Dango, who is formerly known as Fandango, who had one of the biggest upsets in WrestleMania history. That'll be taking place. Then this match right here for the X Division Championship. You talk about things that could steal the show. The 10-time champion Chris Sabin will take on former X Division champion Kushida and current AAA champion El Hijo del Vikingo. You've seen Vikingo a lot in either AEW or Ring of Honor. He'll be here in TNA. That match, crazy. It's going to be crazy. Already know that. Then we get to what some might call the semi-main event, and there's been a lot of talk about this particular match as Trinity will defend her Knockouts championship against Jordan Grace. I'll come back and talk about that one since that's the one everybody wants to talk about. The main event, though, is for the TNA World Championship as Alex Shelley defends against the former champion Moose. Can Moose regain the title in this new TNA era? Now, let's go back to that Trinity versus Jordan Grace match, because that match really can tell us an awful lot about what could be happening. Now, when we were on Wednesday, we talked about rumors about the future of Trinity. The dirt sheets had been saying her contract is up, and after Hard to Kill, she will be done with TNA. And we kind of talked back and forth about why that could make sense, why that doesn't make sense, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, today, matter of fact, when we talked Wednesday, one of the things that made me a little nervous was we had yet to see the presentation of the TNA Knockouts Championship to Trinity. Well, they took care of that yesterday in an interesting video, and I didn't want to pick that video apart too much. But today may have been the actual sign of what could be happening, as TNA released a graphic. Get down, son. TNA released a graphic for an upcoming show in Philly in March. and they're going to do 2 nights of tapings at the famous 2300 Arena. And on this flyer was every major name currently in TNA except one name that we have been seeing and one face that we have been seeing, and that is Trinity. In the place that you might argue Trinity would have been, it was Jordynne Grace. Jordynne Grace did not have the Knockouts Championship in this graphic, but the fact that there is a graphic out there that was prominently tweeted by TNA to push the sales for this show in Philly in March without Trinity has only added fuel to the fire for the idea that Trinity could lose this championship at Hard to Kill. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was at last year's Hard to Kill where Jordynne Grace fought Mickie James in what was Mickie James. So it was supposed to be the last rodeo. And if she didn't win, she'd be retiring. And we were all convinced it was Mickey's swan song. And then Mickie won. and went on to do more things and ended up being taken out by way of injury. So we probably won't know till tomorrow night whether or not Trinity actually will win this match or if it's Trinity's swan song. It almost seems too obvious at this point, and it seems like perhaps something could happen. But I'm curious to what you guys think in terms of, will Trinity retain the championship and continue her tenure as the Knockouts champion and in TNA?
And before we do that, we have some new people in the chat. So shout out to MDB, 999, Eric, Isaac, what's up? Thank you for reposting our stuff on Facebook. I really appreciate that. Cousin Ron's in the building. Last week in Wrestling Podcast, how you doing? And the Shadow Wrangler, how you doing? And of course, our unofficial producer Dylan Matthews in the building, and our informational officer Bosa is in the chat as well. So shout out to y'all for that. So yeah, the question is, and I'll let Booney and Seti said hit it off first. So what we think? Because when I saw this, I had some opinions, I had some thoughts. So what did you guys think?
Well, I know we talked about this in the chat just earlier, and I do like breaking it down from a standpoint that it could be a smokescreen, because a lot of things, I know we're in the era where we can't make anything a surprise, which makes wrestling a little bit diluted when you can't have that genuine surprise anymore. But this feels almost, like the professor was saying, feels almost deliberate. Like deliberate that we're not going to we're going to concede the elephant in the room that you guys caught us. So we're not going to broadcast a person months down the road where they might not be with the company any longer. However, I think there's a lot more to say about with TNA now branding their shows premium live events, having funding from Endeavor. I think there's going to be a working relationship there that we have yet to see on a fuller scale. So it could be a thing where Trin does drop and she's gone for a while, but I don't think it's like goodbye forever.
Buddy?
Me, honestly, it's one of those things. If seeing a flyer without that person on there, to me, that just seems like, that honestly seems like she's probably not going to be there. Now, if she's going to be gone permanently or not sure. But that's just, I don't know. It's just so close to Royal Rumble, and just seems kind of like it just seems like it's leading into that possibility of her showing up at Royal Rumble. If her not being all that, and then you having Jordynne Grace, who she's going against on there, I don't know. It's just like I can't sit here and say and know what's deliberate and what's not, or what's a mistake and what's not. But I mean, if people are getting tickets for that and expecting to see Trinity there, and if she was on that poster, and they go there and she's not, honestly, it just seems like if her contract is rumored to be up, that's the possibility of it, and I wouldn't be surprised if she shows up at Royal Rumble. But
Yeah.
you know, giving Cedric's track record of his predictions sometimes that I have disagreed with and be like, nah, and he be right. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, and we have a graphics person, but I, sometimes do graphics here and there for other things. And all it really is 2 or 3 clicks. So, and I'm agreeing with the Shadow Angler. Does Trinity have to be? She doesn't have to be on every flyer. And, you know, to leave her off, we're now talking about it. And there's a couple things too. A lot of people weren't necessarily watching Impact, now TNA, before Trinity. And when Trinity became part of Impact, they started watching it. Impact is not just Trinity. Yes, she brought in a lot of people, but Impact has been around before Trinity. So regardless, like if you were going to go to Philly just to see Trinity at Impact, then you're really missing what, and I mean it all inclusive, WrestleMania weekend is all about, because there's so many other different promotions. There's so many different wrestlers, so many other things going on that it just can't be, if you are just traveling literally to Philly for that pay-per-view to see Trinity, then
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm a fan of Trin, trust me, but you're missing the whole point of being a wrestling fan. So there's that. And then, yeah, I just feel like Impact has gotten it, or TNA has gotten it right on so many occasions as far as their promo. And even WWE, how they're doing things too, that I feel like this is not a Freudian slip. I feel like this is done on purpose. And I feel like we are now talking about it. And now everybody's wondering what's going on. And it also another ultimate swerve, because now you have a lot of people who are saying, well, Trin's going to WWE. She's doing this, she's doing that, she's doing that. And then what if she retains? Now, all that talk that happened prior to that is for naught. So, I mean, I don't see it happening. But again, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to call her and ask her. Like, that's, yeah, it's,
I mean, you could.
I could, but I'm not going to. I mean, that would be just
Can
weird.
you put that flyer back up? Because I want to make a point to Shadow Ranger real quick. I want you.
That's actually a really good point, because I was about to bring that up. Because right now, Roman isn't advertised for Chamber.
Well, we'll get there, because I'm going to talk about that too. But if you notice on this flyer right now on this flyer, you have every current TNA champion. You've got the X Division champion in Chris Sabin. You've got the tag team champions in ABC. You've got the digital media champion in Tommy Dreamer. You've got the tag team champions in MK Ultra. You've got the world champion in Alex Shelley. Every single champion in TNA is on, every single current champion in TNA is on this flyer. So when you ask the question, does Trinity have to be on this flyer? TNA, one of the many things they are known for is their prominent knockouts division, their women's division. It is their claim to fame. If you've got the knockout tag team champions on there, why would you not have the knockout world champion on there? Unless that knockout world champion, who happens to currently be Trinity, is not going to be a part of this event in Philadelphia. Now, with that said, every other event that they have had that obviously Trinity is going to be at, which she's been at all of the events for TNA ever since she signed with the company. And right now, if you go to the Palms, her face is prominently featured for Hard to Kill. They're not advertising her for a reason. So I think it's, I think we got to be clear when you look at the scope of this whole thing. Could they be doing it to troll us? I don't know. I also don't think that, since they're, because the other thing is this, when you're trying to put tickets on sale and you're trying to get a great on sale date, you are going to put the people who are the most popular, who will be there, on the flyer. That's what they do. That's what you do. We didn't know the card for WrestleMania, but certain people's names and faces were on flyers. We don't know the card for Royal Rumble, but certain names are on flyers because they want to obviously promote their most popular people, the person that somebody's going to go see. So to a point that TK made earlier, if you are traveling to Philly solely to see Trinity, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think we all have a favorite performer that we're going to see. And when you get there, it's like when you go to a concert. You may have gone for whoever you deem the headline artist to be, but whoever's opening up the show and those other people, if they perform well, they'll gain new fans. So TNA is going to win new fans for whomever you come to see. But I do think, to the point that TK's made, it is intentional that she's not on the flyer. The question is, what is the intent that TNA has by not putting her on the flyer? It almost seems too obvious at this point, but this is where we have to wait and see, because to another point that TK made, to make a second flyer by adding her isn't a problem. And if sometime between now and Philly, any one of those titles change hands, they'll put somebody else on the flyer.
And then also the timing of the dropping of the flyer right before Hard to Kill, right?
Super weird.
Now everybody thinks that Trin is going to drop to Jordan. So now you're going to want to watch to see if Trin drops to Jordan. If she doesn't drop to Jordan, you're still going to watch to see what happens. So, I mean, I think if Trin does not drop, whoever made this call intentionally is a marketing, I don't want to say genius.
Let's say they're brilliant.
Yes.
They're brilliant. And to that particular point, let's also consider this, which is the other piece that it's lurking in the background and we don't say enough about it. And that is the Endeavor connection. The Endeavor connection, which obviously is helping to provide the streaming for TNA Plus. It's very clear that there's more than just TNA Plus that's benefiting with this whole Endeavor situation. It's more than that. It's more than that. We see that because of all of the new signings that have been happening. And apparently there's talk that there are more signings coming. There's money that's been obviously exchanged with all of that, which then makes me wonder what other pieces have been added to the TNA puzzle that we don't know about, strictly as a benefit from being under this Endeavor umbrella. We may find this out tomorrow night.
A lot of great things happening. With that being said, what are your predictions? Who do you guys have? I mean, obviously there is the flyer, but there's still two people. So who do you have between Trinity and Jordan Grace?
Said
I'm still, I don't know. I'm hearing everyone's piece about it, but I don't know. It's either way. I must be being fooled if they are trolling and it's some kind of aspect like that, because I mean, I'm thinking about it like if it was any other time, if there was no rumors about a possibility of a contract being up, if there was no Royal Rumble coming up, on WWE, all this other stuff, like when she was going against Mickie James, everybody was 100% sure she was not going to drop the title. Everybody was. So I'm just kind of saying, if it was that kind of case and there was a flyer ahead just like this, do you think they would have had her off of it and just had Mickie James on there?
Maybe. I mean, it's like I don't know who's doing the marketing. And the great thing about people who are really great at marketing, they have the ability to reinvent. And like they don't do the same thing over and over again. They look at different things, because all marketing really is studying the human condition and then applying whatever to make whoever's watching, seeing, buying, do whatever you want them to do. So like, you want these people to buy toothpaste. What the group of individuals that you're targeting to buy the toothpaste, what do they do? What do they feel like? What do they look like? What can I tap into them? What time do they watch? All those things. And currently right now, as far as where wrestling is, as far as social media, like every little thing, people are taking and like dissecting it to the point where it's almost like nauseating. Like you take a picture and and this is what we're doing right now. So still hypocritical, but you take a picture and now you break down the picture so much that it no longer could just be a picture, and they know that's what we do. So they're going to just drop that so we can talk about it, because we're now talking about it right now. So I feel like, and again, the guy, it could have been like the person who did it made a mistake. I don't think so, because TNA is a big company, but mistakes have happened. So there is some give and take. I just don't think that's what it is, but there's also a possibility.
Yeah.
Let's throw something. Oh, I'm sorry. I just want to throw something else in the chat without a prediction. And that is, here's a what if. What if there was a scheduling conflict for Trinity and she can't be available for that day?
That makes sense.
It's not unheard of.
That makes sense. I know someone in the chat was saying that she had it for a long time. It's, she's been undefeated for a minute, and it's maybe about that time. So, me, I don't have that much of a prediction, besides more so I wouldn't be surprised at this point in how long she's held the title if it's dropped. But at the same time, I wouldn't be too surprised if she still retains it. So, I can be one of those honest people and say that I'm confused and I don't know. And, this is one of those things that, like, that's good to have that interest of just like, I don't know which way this would go. And I like being in that position. I like being better in the position where I really have, no idea, where I wouldn't be surprised either way, compared to like I mentioned with her and Mickey James, where it's like, oh, that she's not going to drop that title, and I think that's a good place to be as a fan. So I think they're doing the job right on that end for me. So I wouldn't be surprised either way. I'm interested.
Said.
I'm staying with Trend. Just, I think from a publicity standpoint, if there is rumors true to her making appearances in WWE, if there's a two-way partnership, it makes more sense to have a surprise appearance in the Rumble while holding the TNA Knockout title, similar to what they did with Mickey James. That is it's beneficial for both parties in that regard. So I believe Trend retains.
Professor?
We're not getting sound.
That's because my mic was muted. Sorry.
There we go.
I actually agree with that perspective, and I love the concept, because I think, again, TK, what you said is right. Trolling is a thing, and even before they were doing all of these, conspiracy theories, et cetera, I just go back to what they did without Endeavor this time last year at this same event. They had the super sappy video for Mickey to have her say goodbye. They had the special entrance that she had, with the Native American band. Like, they did it all the way up so that we all felt like we were tuning into Mickey James' final match. It's just like with Sting, for Sting's final match, nobody's going to want to miss this farewell tour. So everybody's showing up in all the spaces. So nobody wants to miss what they think might be Trinity's last match. I think Trinity comes out with the win. And if there is a working partnership, much like said, have her show up with the TNA title like Mickey did in the Royal Rumble. That's going to be much, much bigger, because think about this. Now you can say, what if Trinity, as the Impact Knockouts champion, wins the Rumble and goes to WrestleMania? Now that's a story. And given the way things are right now in the wrestling world, and with all of the potential partnerships that WWE's been talking about, you want to talk about something that would be a thing that we never stop talking about. Trinity as the Knockouts champion, winning the Royal Rumble and going to WrestleMania. It's the best of both possible worlds.
I mean,
either way, Trinity wins.
Yeah, it's a win-win, because if you watch the wrestlers on Netflix, they were talking about how some of the OVW folks were going to AEW. I think it was Al Snow that's saying it's not going to benefit OVW because it's just talent. So, you know, and if you remember when there was a partnership with TNA and AEW, like it was more beneficial to it was only beneficial to one person. So I agree with you. Like if Trin has the championship, it seems better opposed to somebody who is no longer a champion and now she's just an entrant at the Royal Rumble.
That's
Like
true.
it bodes well for both parties and not just one party. But again, rumors, we'll see. We don't know nothing. I honestly feel if they're doing this right, given the way how wrestling fans are on social media and, you know, the dirt sheets and all this other stuff, the only people who really know is like the 3 to 4 people individuals, because the day of there is a possibility of card subject to change. So, you know, they can have an arc, but somebody might get a brilliant idea and sell that idea to the parties that are involved, and they're going to go with that. So there's a lot of different things.
And then there's one great segue I want to make based on something you just said. You mentioned Mickie James and you mentioned OVW. So congratulations to Mickie James with a brand new role in OVW. She is the new creative director and head of female talent for all of OVW, which is massive. You mentioned the, you know, Netflix wrestler special, the documentary that they have for OVW. OVW, longtime training ground at one time for WWE, at one time for TNA. You know, now they're kind of that really cool indie organization that does quite a bit of training. Having a major talent like Mickie James working with the women that are there, that only bodes well for all things women's wrestling. So how wild is it that Mickie James and Nick Aldis are both in management positions in their respective companies? Pretty cool. That's a true power couple, dare I say.
Very, 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 very true. With that being said, what else we got?
Whew. What else do we have? I think that was the big stuff, but we could get into AJ Francis and his talk about how he felt like WWE didn't have a clue in terms of how to use him or any part of Hit Row.
They didn't.
That's what he recently said that on Busted Open. He said he felt like the idea of the hip hop stable just didn't really gel with what they had going on creatively or with what they wanted to do. So the music videos that you guys would see weekly were things that he actually created. But they didn't really have any sort of plan or idea in terms of how to actually integrate that into the show. So, yeah, and it's interesting because if you've been watching SmackDown as recent as I believe this past Friday, we just finally saw Ashanti the Adonis showing up in the office for Nick Aldis looking for something to do. So, yeah, it's interesting. They really... And obviously, it was a different era, the Vince McMahon era, still controlling SmackDown. I don't know if any of that would be different right now in this era of the WWE. But I think AJ Francis, who, by the way, will be making his TNA debut tomorrow night at Hard to Kill. He'll be doing a performance there. So we don't know if he'll be getting in the ring and doing any work. But I think he's going to be one of those guys who really takes advantage of being able to travel outside of WWE and make the most of that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be I think for him, what he's done as far as like a media blitz, because he's been doing interviews for the last maybe month and a half, all sorts of places. Him and Muscle Malcolm, apparently Muscle Malcolm won't leave his house. Like you're seeing a different side of him, and I think it's gonna bode well in, you know, wherever he ends up, and if he's just gonna be like a journeyman, because he has the cachet to do that. So it's going to be interesting to see all that.
It certainly will.
Yeah.
Certainly will.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I definitely agree that they really didn't know what to do with them, like what to do with the rivalry. I think it was just even an aspect of just like, you know, I was excited to see them come back after they were, you know, released. But just the fact that, you know, Swerve wasn't there anymore, of course. that really changed the dynamic because it was one of those factions where Swerve was the leader. They already had a leader. It wasn't in the sense how Judgment Day is after the Edge, factor. And so I just felt like there was a lot of missed opportunities as far as what they could have done with storylines. And I don't know, it just kind of popped into my head now. Like I would have enjoyed seeing something kind of like we're seeing how R-Truth is steadily trying
Oh
to
my
get into
gosh.
Judgment Day. I think that would have been a really good idea if they would have used R-Truth for like trying to get in Hit Row back when they still had the thing, because it's a hip hop stable. So it was kind of like having a label or something. Like they had a record label and R-Truth would have been in trying to get in and stuff, and they would have been kind of iffy about it because he's older, kind of just like how it is with hip-hop artists, like the old school with the new school and stuff like that. They could have really kind of did some kind of storyline along with that and that kind of faction. I don't know, but it was just clear that they weren't really knowing what to do with that faction, and it was just, I don't know. It's just disappointing because I felt like there could have been something really good, but it was clear that they weren't really putting much focus into trying things out, even though not knowing, I don't think they were really taking many shots with them, to build something, being willing to make some mistakes and figure out which, this works or whatever. It was almost like didn't know whether to make, keep them baby faces, make them heels again. What it just seemed kind of in limbo. And so I definitely agree when I saw what he's saying about that.
He said.
I do find it interesting, and I can say that about a lot of current acts in WWE. I feel like things have kind of reached a plateau. Like for me, I'm wondering what's going on with the Profits and Bobby, and I feel like what they originally planned just halted, and I don't know what they're supposed to be now. Especially
Right.
like TK can attest to this from the live show we just attended. It's like, are you guys heels? Are you baby faces? You gyrating? I don't know what's going on.
There
But
is some news for that, though. I don't know if you guys have heard that the latest news on that is right now they internally are being listed as faces. And it's
okay.
probably because people won't stop cheering for them. And apparently there's a name that's being rumored for them, and the name is the Pride. Yeah, which is in reference to like a pride of lions and things like that. And so it seems like there could be some direction. And then with what happened last week with Karrion Kross and AOP, it looks like there are actually some opponents for them.
Yeah.
So they're literally in the last 7 days, something seems to be popping off with them. But I understand.
Yeah, they had to kind of like revert courses, like, and make a strong pivot, which is weird when they're getting consistent TV time. But with Hit Row, it's very disappointing when you see people who are actually passionate about the gimmicks they have and showing that passion on their own when it's not utilized. Like Dallas saying that he created those freestyles on his own every week, and they generated a lot of views. I liked a lot of them that he released. They wouldn't air on television. Even not being in the company now, he's still advocating for BFAB just to get ring time and TV time. Same with Tahuti. We saw Tahuti with, I believe, Nick Aldis last week. So it just starts with giving a chance. I wasn't one of those people that believed they needed Swerve to be self-sustaining. I don't believe that, because Swerve was a mid-card champion in NXT. So I feel like if they would have just utilized some of the things that were working with the group, which is a lot of stuff they curated on their own, maybe running back the feud with Legado del Fantasma on the main roster. There were things that could have worked. There was just a reluctance to put them in those spaces for whatever reason. And now you see the separation of Fab and Tahuti. We don't know what's going to happen with those superstars on a solo act. So it's just weird that they had such a buzz in NXT, left for a while, did some good stuff on the Indies, and then you brought them back without a plan. And it's almost like criminal of what people accuse the fake CK of just signing everybody and not building stars. Same concept in this company.
Question that, like, do you feel, because I don't know, I kind of felt that sometimes people that really got their start in NXT were just like pulled into the main roster a little too quick sometimes. Do you feel like that was the case? Because I kind of felt that way when I saw once Hit Row went already to the main roster. I was just kind of feeling like there was still more work to be done and things going on with NXT, because like I think like with their promos, when I remember when they first started with their promos on NXT, when they were getting to perform, like they had a full out performance, and I was just sitting there like, yo, they actually have bars. Like I'm sitting there listening as a lyricist, like they actually spitting. Like I was like, where is this coming from? And I wanted to see more of that being developed, but once they got to the main roster, it was like there was no time and breathing room for them to, you know, accentuate that aspect of Hit Row. That got me interested in Hit Rows because they were actually spitting some dope bars. They weren't saying some dinky shit up there. They were actually dope. So I don't know. Do you feel, Cedric, like they got, you know, pulled into the main roster a little prematurely, or do you think the timing of that was just fine?
Yes and no. They were hot at the time, so it's like you want to have a hot act. We see that a lot during the previous regime, where it's like you got the shiny new toy. We want you on main roster now. We saw with Heavy Machinery, Lacey Evans. There's a long list of people that got called up, possibly prematurely or a little bit too early before they completed their destiny in NXT. But the problem with that is like, we're churning out athletes. We have a large influx of athletes at the PC that need that time to cultivate themselves on NXT programming. So it's a double-edged sword where it's unfortunately sink or swim when she gets to main roster. But and this is why this regime is so important, is that you see certain acts go down back to NXT just so they can have more time to work with new talent and also have more staying power. So I think now we're in a better space for that, where before it was it just, you were in a no-win situation.
Yeah, because I just felt like kind of like I felt like it was good timing for like back in the day when Enzo and Cass got pulled from NXT to the main roster. Like they had enough good time to really solidify themselves there. Like people were cheering, saying all their slogans, all that stuff. And before Hit Row really got a chance to kind of set up some of their own slogans, their own kind of catchphrases, things of that nature, they were already thrown into, you know, the main roster without even having a solid like rivalry and storyline for them. But you know, shit happens.
I mean, and I feel like there may be a time where they bring them back together. Like it's, you know, maybe they did like go of AJ because they didn't have anything for him. And then, you know, it's always, oftentimes it's kind of the money aspect of it. Yep. The bottom line, who's paying, all this other stuff. So, I mean, who knows, they might get it right with another opportunity, you know, down the line. I think the timing of it,
that now too.
Yeah, the timing of, you know, Vince leaving, and now we're seeing like boatloads of really great storylines in WWE, and you know they haven't even hit their full stride. Like again, I reference to like I'll call it now like the AfterBuzz days when we were covering wrestling. There'd be some days where it's just like, oh my God, this is terrible, and those moments are getting far and few between, where it was a consistent thing week in and week out. So I mean, who knows? There's so many. 2023 kind of proved like there's going to be a lot of surprises in 2024. It's going to be one of those things where those jaw-dropping moments. I think of when you see, I think WWE and like NFL, NBA does that stuff where you have the kids in the stands and something crazy happens and they lose their mind. Yeah. There's going to be a lot more of that across the board, across all promotions this year. It's just, it's going to be absolutely insane.
Storing the feeling.
Yes.
So, with that being said, we got anything less? We good? We headed into the weekend. He says about to hit the streets. What's going on?
Well, there was a mention of R-Truth, and I did want to mention this, that he had two new shirts released connecting to the Judgment Day, and they're top sellers. Like literally the top selling t-shirts right now on WWE Shop. Number 1 and 2 are our Truth Judgment Day shirts.
That's
One
awesome.
is the standard one, and then the other one was the Live, Laugh, Love shirt. And just to put that into perspective, number 3 is CM Punk, and number 4 is CM Punk. And it's number 5 that we get to yeet. So your top 5 does not have Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, or Roman Reigns. It's our Truth and CM Punk with 4 of the 5 best shirts right now on WWE Shop. So shout out to our Truth.
It says a lot.
It says an awful lot.
Yeah.
Well deserved
yeah.
too. I don't think we could have thought about this even a decade ago that Truth would have merch that was like that everybody wanted. You know, we just got through with the summer of Monday Night Mommy on Top shirts dominating the summer. Also, the LA Knight merch was dominating the summer. We're at top of 2024. Our Truth just got back, and as a elder statesman, in every sense of the word, is leading the WWE in merchandise.
That is dope. That is dope.
And before we finish off and talk a little bit more about that, because I definitely want to give him his flowers for that. Speaking of merch, we got merch too.
Hey yo, you. Yeah, you that's watching this. You sitting on the couch staring at the screen, not knowing what you want to do, like this is an online college. Are you tired of wearing shirts that make you look like an extra stuck in catering? Do you want to step your wrestling swag game up to the next level? Then Women's Wrestling Talk has got you covered. Like literally. Are you for life in pink or black and white? Or maybe you're the EST and people need to respect you accordingly. Want to put some pride in your stride and show off the muscle in your hustle? Then make sure you check out the WWT store. Not now, but right now. Alright? What you waiting for? Head to www.talkpodstore.com and don't make me fight you. Shit.
Yeah, special of nobody. Shout out to Jay Washington. He was the one who wrote the copy for that. Very brilliant wrestler, comedian, and wrestling fan. So shout out to him, and then shout out to my homegirl, actor, dancer, etc. For voicing that. So yeah, really great little merch thing. But with that being said, yeah, I definitely our Truth. I don't know how this meant. I think I did ask him this question because it takes a lot to portray, for lack of a better word, the buffoon in such a great way. Because like we know in real life he knows what's going on, but he's playing it so well that you're like, did he really like that? Like, does he really not? Did he really not? Like, does he legitimately think that one day, like that the last match that he had where he was like, oh yeah, I'm a part of Awesome Truth. Yeah. Like how he played it off is just brilliant. And I think somebody said in X-Land that he deserves an Oscar. And I between him now and from other things and the Bloodline, there has to be some way to get those in the Oscar conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Or even the Emmys.
And yes, she is from the Bronx. You are completely right. MD,
from the Bronx, that's hilarious.
Yeah, no, I agree. Very compelling stories that have been told, and what our Truth has done. It's just incredible. And it also shows that there are so many different palettes for pro wrestling, and it's not just one size fits all. Okay. And what's even more amazing is to watch how literally he can make almost anybody start laughing. Mm-hmm. To me, what's just as intriguing is watching Damian Priest on screen when Truth is on screen, because Priest can't keep it together. Priest is going to turn around and laugh, and it's going to happen. And I think that's like the coolest thing. Sami Zayn was doing that for us in 2022, making everybody break. I think this is a great time. And again, in a sport where so many things can either be taken seriously or too seriously, or people can come up with all the conspiracy theories, our Truth reminds us of why we enjoy pro wrestling, because he puts the E in entertainment. We're not paying attention to whether he wins or loses, but boy, when he turned around and found a way to beat JD McDonough, and McDonough's out of the Judgment Day, or is he in the Judgment Day? Like, all of that stuff is so cool.
Yeah.
And then whoever helped him put that segment together that he did Monday night, oh my gosh, to call Dominic
Brilliant.
Mysterio Tom and Nick Mysterio.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And then they've been following it on the socials. And so, you know, for Judgment Day to put up a post with where they said they found Tom and Nick, and like, it's just
Yeah,
Brilliant.
it's one of those things too that it's like it's kind of blurring the lines between the face and the heel thing again, because that's what's
Yes.
starting to happen as Sami Zayn was, you know, in the bloodline and everything was just like the humorous aspect was coming in. It was like, wait a minute, do we boo or cheer? Like we're just excited for this. And I remember a lot of the Attitude Era had a lot of those blurred lines, and just even from a serious rivalry, it's blurred right now with Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax. It's like, wait a minute, we're supposed to be booed, but now we're okay. Who's the heel in this one?
Right.
And so when you have those blurred lines where it's just like, it's just sheer great entertainment that you want to see in this rivalry, not a clear cut way of who you're cheering for or who you're booing. It's like everyone individually is really going for who they're going for because of where they're at in the storyline, rather than it being kind of spelled out for you in the writing. And so I like how that's happening as well with the R-Truth and Judgment Day, because that's like bringing a whole light in, like kind of different spectrum of like how it did with Bloodline. Like, where is this going? It's, you know, so I like that. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of things happening. Also, I want to bring everybody's attention. We launched it every month, so we have the Reina rankings. I don't think we've been off for a minute, so I don't think we announced it on Wednesday, but definitely something to check out. Unfortunately, Sed is disappointed again, and you can tell us why you're disappointed, Sed, but check it out. Shout out to Black Wrestling Alliance for the partnership. So these were our December rankings: Kaden Carter, Janai Kai, Io Sky, Julia Hart, Billy Starks, Trinity number 4, Rhea Ripley number 5, Julia, Tony Storm, and Athena doing number 1 2 months in a row. So shout out to the Reina rankings. We're going to be having it every month. And also we're going to probably include you guys in it as well. So be on the lookout for that. So you can check out all our social media and a website, www.talkpod.com, for all that stuff. And definitely comment. Let us know if you agree, disagree. I know Sed disagrees. And yeah, we can definitely talk about it. Chop it up.
This is my first time seeing this, and I'm going to have to boycott it.
We could tell it's your first time. You took everything like, nah, man.
This is my first time seeing this. I remember we did the thing sometime in December. I've been a little underground the past few weeks, but I voted my person in numbers 1 through 10, and they still didn't make the list. And I'm trying to figure out how.
So before you go that, MDB 999, if you check out Athena as of late, her hair is way more on point than it was on WWE. I know exactly what you're talking about. And you know, it's not in the entertainment industry here, there's often, I don't know what her hair regimen is, but I'm just going to lean in at depending on who's doing her hair. And you need the right person to do your hair, the different textures, all the stuff. But her hair is on point now. So I definitely encourage you to check out ROH, see her dominance, and beyond the hair. Like, her matches are phenomenal. So. I mean, check out, we did an interview with Athena, I think a month and a half ago. Check out her hair there. You know, there it is. And let us know. Come back on the show and let us know what you think. But yeah, we have that once a month, so you can check that out. And yeah, we're gonna be debuting a couple of different shows as well. But yeah, any more stuff on R-Truth before Little Professor takes over?
Keep doing it.
Wow, so a little, you know what, special little nobodies, I can't stand y'all. It's time for us to go. What anything else we got for the weekend? Any promotion that you guys are gonna watch? Because there's a lot of stuff to watch. So which ones are you gonna watch this weekend?
Well, like I said, I'm actually confused and I have no idea. So I need to go ahead and watch the TNA one so I can see, what's happening based on that flyer. So that's the one I'll tune into.
There it is.
I'll probably tune into Hard to Kill for Dala alone. Whatever he's going to do with that appearance, I'm actually very intrigued by that. Intrigued by this world tour that he's on.
Yeah, because it's gonna be him and DJ Who Kid, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah. So he's gonna be appearing on Hard to Kill. Also, too, right before Hard to Kill, you guys can check out our interview with Jody Threat. We had a Canadian moment. She's like from Toronto proper. So if you guys are familiar with Canada, it's just, or if you're familiar with any city, if somebody says they're from LA, but they live in like Inland Empire, not really. So she's from Toronto proper. So we had some really great conversation. Don't look at me like that. It's true. Like, it is what it is.
Just unnecessary shade, but
it's not shade. It's true. It's just like saying somebody's from Atlanta, but they live in the outskirts of wherever they live. Like, you're not in Atlanta. Like, you're Atlanta adjacent, but you're not in Atlanta. I mean, Professor, correct me if I'm wrong. Like,
but the flip part to it is, if you're describing it to people, outside of Atlanta or outside of Georgia, you would tell them Atlanta, because they don't really know where Marietta is. They don't really know where, East Point is, or those particular places. So.
Right.
Even your stomping grounds of your career too. It's like Eminem was the outskirts of Detroit, but it's just like his stomping grounds are in Detroit. I don't know. I'm originally from Colorado Springs, but I've lived in Denver twice and really started my career out there. So it's like I represent both Denver and Colorado Springs.
Well, it's not talking about representing. It's talking about it's just knowing. It's just like, if somebody is from Toronto and they know the parts that I'm talking about, like you're from Toronto proper. If somebody's from LA, but they're talking about some random restaurant in wherever the inland, like you don't frequent LA, and that's not a problem. No shade. It's like, we're talking about two people who know the city. So if somebody meets you, Professor, and they're like, "Oh, I'm from Atlanta too," and you're like, "Oh yeah, do you know that restaurant on 3rd Street?" And he's like, "Nah, I live in da da da." Like, come on, son.
Gotcha.
Not.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and usually what will happen in these parts is when we ask where they're from, and then we'll kind of ask a secondary question to kind of narrow down. Okay, so which part are you? And by then we'll know if they're actually in Midtown, in downtown, East Side, West Side, South Side, or in Noonan or Canton or something like that. So
Dylan with the shade. You ending off the show with the shade, Dylan? All I know is not a damn person is watching Battle of the Belts. No belts are switching, and they never do. Damn. Well.
Wow.
There it is. On that note, we'll just call it a night. Thanks, Dylan. With that being said, Booty, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at Booney Mayfield on Instagram, anywhere else. You can also find me Booney Mayfield on all streaming platforms, and check me out on YouTube. Got a channel there. Got a new show called Boon TV Volume 2. Make sure you check it out if you like some craziness and some good music and some just great comedy. Yeah, titty milk and cookies. All the goods.
Oh man. And said
That's about to pound the streets.
Where can everybody find you?
About to pound the streets to boycott #Justice for Lola. You can find me in these Twitter streets at says at CEDD_SAYS. On the gram, it says The Answer. I also write for dailyddt.com. Check out my articles and all my other journalism stuff on cedricdwelton.com, as well as check out those Raina writings and let them know how false and inaccurate they are. And then tweet me at says, let a naysayer know, and #Justice for Lola.
Wow. Professor, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me at Bonnerfied across all of the social spaces. You can check out my commentary work, of course, with Southern Honor Wrestling on IWTV, also with IWE on IWTV, and that's where I will be tomorrow night doing commentary where it's War Games tomorrow night. So that will be very, very intriguing. That'll be up on IWTV, I'm sure, sometime next week. You can also check out my commentary work with All Caribbean Wrestling and the Nightmare Factory on both of their YouTube channels. And there are shows coming up for both of them fairly soon. There's a show coming up in Atlanta in February for Black History Month. And speaking of Black History Month, tickets have gone on sale for the upcoming Ashe show, which is going to be crazy. The Pan-African World title is on the line as Shug D defends against Caprice Coleman. We've got Darius Carter versus Darius Lockhart. And I have heard that Sonny Kiss will be in the house. And I've heard that we've got appearances from WWE Hall of Famers Teddy Long and Ron Simmons. All of that and more is happening at Ashe Wrestling on February 24th. You can get your tickets now at AsheWrestling.com.
Woo, yeah, it's good. And wait, yeah, we'll talk about that offline. All right, so make sure you follow me on everything at TK Trinidad. Definitely check out Women's Wrestling Talk on all things, y'all. One of our hosts did amazing. Yes, there's some new things coming down the pipeline. Look, aesthetics, all that thing. I'm really excited. And music, all that stuff. So definitely check that out. www.talkpod.com. Definitely check out on social media. Oh yeah, we're getting reupholstered. We are getting reupholstered, and you might see some new shows, popping up on some different networks, some betting shows, etc. So we're doing some things. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Follow us on all social media platforms. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Till Monday, y'all. Ciao.
What's up, guys? It's your girl Red Velvet from straight out of your mama's kitchen, doing what I do best, stirring it up, and you are now watching Women's Wrestling Talk.